Hey y'all, guess what time it is? It's the Grolic Saves the World time.
All right, the Grolic saves the world.
That's right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4.
We're getting fixed, our worries are nixed. Let's have some cake. While the Grolic saves the world. We're getting fixed, our worries are nixed. Let's have some cake. While the Grolic saves the world. We're getting fixed, our worries are nixed. Let's have some cake. While the Grolic saves the world.
Hello, welcome back to the Grolic Saves the World. I'm Adam Caton Holland.
My name is Ben Roy.
And I'm Andrew Orbital.
And this is the podcast where we improve the world around us by improving ourselves. And I'm excited to be here with you guys. That is genuine, not fake.
What? Sound the earnestness horn.
Hey, Vern.
Been a while. I miss you guys. I feel like I've been in my routine. It's nice to see your faces and your living situation.
I love this. It's it's good to see you both. And what a weird time it's been. I'm going through as Andrew and Adam and producer Ron know. I'm going through a little bit of a transition in my life right now. Change in living situation and whatnot. So I appreciate you all being here for me during that. And you guys are the freaking best. You're the fucking best. I can say it. I can swear on this, right?
You talking to us or
it's
you
our
talking
show.
to our fans?
I'm talking to the fans. If you could just
Okay.
shut up, I'm trying to address our fans directly.
Very
but
much
you
felt
keep-
like you're talking to the fans. You want me and Andrew to take a back seat?
Why
You
don't
talk
you
to them
just
directly?
sit down for? When the fuck have I ever directed you? Like
You're
anything
using
that
our
I've directed you?
platform to directly address Ben Roy Nation, which you are contractually forbidden
I
to
tell
do.
them to meet me here to hear me speak, and that's it. And you guys
You're
interrupt
a
it every
cult
time.
leader. You are.
This is what happens. We're getting real liberal with letting him plug the rat race on the back end of this podcast, if you've noticed. And now he's coming on the front end, just directly talking. All right, you got the floor, Ben. What do you got to say to Ben Roy Nation?
I gotta say, stay strong. We have a coded message. The
Oh,
milk
no.
duds are in the jar. The milk duds are in the jar.
That actually just means that he bought some candy and it's
I
on
did
the
buy
counter.
some candy, but I can't help it. I need the sweets right now.
Ben's been relegated to addressing Ben Roy Nation on Parler. It's the only platform that will let him talk to Ben Roy Nation.
But since Parlor was delisted, it's PARLOR.
Oh, wow.
And
No, it's an
they're
actual
gonna-
barber shop.
Yeah, and they're really just removing letters to get further to continue use. So it'll be Paler in no time, which I think is nice because. No, I was thinking about this. I have a challenge. That I've wanted to do with you guys for a long time. I think it's come up a couple times.
Good. Let's quit fucking around.
let's
Enough
Not
of the preamble.
touching each other's dinks. Quit bringing it up.
Why? Do you have a problem with it? Tip to tip. Who cares, bud?
By the way, dink is a pretty great word for the old.
We may want to edit that one out. I've had this idea for a while. I know we've discussed doing it at points. It's just whether or not it's been the right time. And I think that this is going to be a really fun idea. I think we should work on being better listeners, especially.
Shut up.
Adam, did you even hear what I
What
just
should we
said?
do for the challenge
know.
for this episode?
No, but I hate you, Andrew. I hate you both. Everything I just said about you, I hate you both. No, I think after the year we've come out of where it feels as if the ability to hear each other out has atrophied severely. I
That's
think
for sure.
And I think we are all in different stages of our relationships, and I think that being better active listeners is something that can only improve us, and I think it improve the world. We talk about how we're trying to improve the world, hearing other people out, and the way in which we listen to each other. I think sometimes with distractions and whatnot, we forget that being an active listener is an important part of communication. So
It's honestly funny that you bring this challenge up, Ben, because I would consider out of the three of us, you to probably be the best listener.
you think so?
I don't know. I mean, I'm trying to think of like,
I don't know about
You know,
that. I mean, in person, I mean, you gotta. If Ben's on his phone, yeah, he'll be listening.
That's
to
true.
You. But
And that's
if we can crack your shell, you're a great listener.
and that's coming from the guy who's 70% deaf, saying that I'm not as good of a listener.
hey, the stuff I can hear, I'm listening to.
No,
I don't know. I mean, like, do you consider yourself a bad listener, Ben? Like, why do you? I'm curious.
I consider myself two things. I am distracted often. Obviously, that it put a tremendous strain on my relationship. The fact that I'm often in my own head, or I'm looking at my phone, or whatever. I get distracted, and it was a big point of contention with Crystal. But also, I'm a nervous chatterer. I talk a lot because it's a nervous thing. My
Benny
anxiety.
boy.
What? No, I do, Andrew. Shut up for a minute. I'm talking. But I nervous chatter. And if people who listen to this notice, I stutter a little bit sometimes because I have difficulty. I'm so nervous about choosing my words sometimes. I'm afraid I'm going to say something wrong, or I'm going to mispronounce something. So I tend to just nervously chatter.
I guess I was thinking about because there's, a lot of times people say when you're a bad listener, it's that you're just waiting to talk. You know what I mean? Like that's sort of like you're having a conversation with someone and you're not really even listening to what they're saying. You're just waiting for your turn to talk. I think that's a big problem with society. But the reason I think you're a good listener is because you seem so genuinely interested in other people. You know what I mean? Like you're fascinated by people. You want to know what's going on with them, and you seem to collect a wide variety of people because you're interested in what's going on.
Sure, I
think
think an acquaintance level, or even with you guys, with friends. But I think in my personal life, being a better active listener is something for those, especially with those people that are closest to me. I know for myself, being distracted by my phone or what's going on in my head, I often tend to answer things and respond to things when I'm not looking at the person, or I just say, yeah. And, the person's like, yeah, to what? What were you saying yes to? I'm sorry. What were you saying? Yeah.
That's the worst.
Do you think like Adam, do you think you're somebody that in your personal life is a good active listener?
I think so. I don't know. No one's ever accused me of not being. But I definitely
let this be the notice now. Andrew and I wanted. This is really
No,
for
I think
you.
Adam is a pretty good listener.
Yeah.
I've never really.
I certainly, Katie will catch me, be like, you didn't hear what I just said at all. And you're like, yeah, I'm sorry, I was in my head. Like, of course, in your day to day, you get distracted with things you're thinking on. Typically, it's a project, or if there's some social issue, if I'm not getting along with somebody, I'll be like replaying the scene in my head, and someone could just be talking at me, and I'm sort of like, yep, but I'm not hearing what they're saying.
Right.
But I try to listen because I value that as a trait in people. So I try to listen mostly, but I could certainly do better. Andrew, what about you?
Andrew, I'm trying to hear you. I'm making eye contact mostly with myself in the Zoom feed.
That's another skill, Zoom listening, because how often are you listening and how often are you looking at your hair in Zoom? For me, it's mostly looking at my hair.
Mostly looking at my hair.
We can tell because you have a very unique looking at my hair face.
I do?
Yes.
Yeah.
What
Yeah.
is it?
It's you just made it. You just looked at your hair and you made it. It's kind of like a partial
you raise
squint.
You
Yeah.
kind of raise your eyebrow a little bit.
Yeah.
It's true.
Yeah, I know. That's a terrible tick.
I mean,
Yeah.
we watched you do it on the set of Those Who Can't countless times. So
Yeah, the camera people would be like, could you stop spiking the camera and just staring right down the lens? What about you, Andrew? What do you think? Are you...
I think I'm a pretty poor listener. I mean, that being deaf in one ear aside, that doesn't help me at all, for sure. But I will definitely, if I can't properly hear someone, I will just act like I heard them because it's easier to. And you would be pretty amazed at how often you can not hear anything someone said and just give a very general reaction, and they'll have
so
no
nervous.
idea. They'll
What
have
have you
no idea.
What have you done that to?
I have had people many times over the years think Andrew's like aloof or doesn't like them, and I've said, you were probably talking to his bad ear, like not even joking. And they're like,
yeah.
oh, I had no idea, because
So-
they'll probably just be, they'll be like, yep, and
That's-
then just sort of move on.
That's not doing me any favors, and it would be better for me to turn and be like, I'm sorry, I didn't hear what you said. Would you mind repeating that? And then I would actually be hearing that. Part of the problem is I'm like, this person's making small talk with me. I don't really care to crystallize it. Like, I'm sorry. What were you asking me about? The weather? Yes, it's cold out. Like, I don't. Who gives a shit? I'll just
But how do
pretend
you
like I
know
heard.
that's what they were asking?
I have
you?
no idea. I could
How
be
else
on
do you learn
fire.
the weather?
How do you know they're not like, sir, you have a drywall nail sticking out of the heel of your
Yeah.
shoe? You know?
I'd have no idea. I'd be like, thanks.
The weather, it's great. You're fucking
But there's two
asshole.
things. There's
But
a
on top
physical
of that-
disability, which
Yeah.
is like you can't really do anything about. And then there's the desire to listen
Yes.
when
Yeah,
able
then
to
there's the
listen.
fact
And on top
that
of
you're
that-
a cocksucker.
The third layer of that cake of bad listening is that I so often in my head thinking about other stuff that I have to engage in, like, I have to like turn that off and then like really concentrate on listening, or else I'm while someone is talking to me, I'll be thinking about something else, in my head.
Has that been a problem with a partner? Like, obviously, we're talking. There's two things. There's like talking to people after shows who are casual acquaintances, and then there's your intimate family. Has anyone in your family or girlfriend said like you're not listening to me?
That's come up in the past. In my current relationship, it's not as big of a deal because my girlfriend's really funny and cool and smart.
So before it was
Here
a
in the
problem
doorway.
because
She's right here in the doorway.
Adam, no, Andrew, shut up. You said what
Yeah,
you did. Adam,
she is.
go ahead.
Of the person, just casual rejections where you didn't, rather than telling them, I don't enjoy your company anymore, you just said, you know what? I'm going to shut this off.
No. It's
Any of
but I know
Andrew's
it's-
girlfriends that
it's a
may be
problem.
listening.
No. Let's not bury
Just
Andrew as fun as it is.
and I'm sure they're listening. Wow, that's nothing more fun.
Oh, you
than
haven't checked our
listening to an
numbers? It's
ex's
mostly your ex-girlfriend.
podcast. Wow.
That's where that big blip in Arvada is. That's all of your
But I
ex-girlfriends.
know. Hey, Arvada's fine. Old Town Arvada. There's some good
Old
stuff
Town
there.
Arvada.
There's
I
a
know,
place
pretty
that has
cool.
like every cereal you'd ever want.
Dude,
It's just a
fuck
cereal
yes.
restaurant.
Just a
That's your
cereal
fishing
restaurant.
trough. I know you like it. You don't have. That's right. He
By the
goes-
way, if anyone knows that place or the name of that place, the cereal place in Arvada, we would like you to sponsor this podcast.
oh yeah,
that place is
freaking
fucking
good.
expensive because 2 breakfasts of cold cereal, it's like $35-$40, something like that. It's like, well, that was a weird mistake I made, but it's
Let
fun.
us come in, let us put our hands in the cereal, put our Grolix stamp on the place, and watch business spike.
Cereal is good though. It is good, but yeah, I've thought the same thing about it's funny you say that. I probably said that not that long ago to somebody about Andrew, that they were like, oh, I met him. He's just very quiet. And I'm like, he also, depending on the side of his head you're talking to, he often will not hear you as well. So he may seem more aloof than he actually is. Like, I think of you as being a very quiet person, Andrew. I mean, you're a very, I don't know.
He's boring. He's just boring.
He's boring as fuck, right? I was trying to figure out a nice way to say that, but he's like, it's awkward too. It's not a good boring. It's not something you can poke fun of. It's
No,
just
it's like
sad.
Most boring you can ignore. It's like an undeniable. You can't even ignore how boring. it
Yeah,
is.
it's weird. How did that happen, Andrew? This challenge, I do feel like my talking gets in the way. There were a number of times where people would see me from Those Who Can't. They would recognize me from that. I remember one time in particular at the LA Riot Comedy Festival, and this group of people came up and they were like, "Oh my God, we love Those Who Can't," and they said hello, and then I talked their ear off till they looked like they wanted to leave.
That is for sure. On the other side of the coin is the band like, I'm going to kiss your baby and win this vote while Andrew and I are trying to like extract ourselves from the situation.
But I think it's a nervous thing. And I do think when you're talking like that, you're like, when I'm talking like that, I'm stepping on someone else's chance to be able to talk and to express themselves. And that's why I think for this challenge, I think I was reading an article, and that's kind of what brought it up. Was the New York Times did an article about
Fake.
Adam, not here.
Sorry,
you know,
not
no.
now.
Sorry,
I'm just saying you were trying.
I'll save it for Paller. I'll save it for the Paller platform.
Paller. But they did an article on being a better listener that was really interesting, and just some tips that I think that what I'd like to do is have you two implement. I'll give you a set of things to implement into your daily life with the people you interact with in your life, whoever you come in contact with. You use these throughout the next week. And then myself, I am going to attempt a vow of silence.
Whoa.
I am
For
going
how long?
for the full week. I will not
not gonna-
speak a word for a full week.
That's fucking insane. Whoa.
Well, first of all, I'm not going to do it. There is a very little chance.
No, you can't propose a challenge that you've
got it.
already
There's
cheated on.
very little chance. No, but starting at the end of this episode, like before we,
Like now.
before we
Wow.
close this up, I will.
In fact,
Stop
I mean, we
talking.
need to see this in action. So we're going to start this before we go to break. Ben,
I
is there
like
any
this.
last thing you'd like to say this week out loud before you
But
can't
yeah, well,
speak
I've got to
anymore?
tell you both
Okay.
of your rules.
All right.
Okay.
I will say real quick before Ben does that, this is just a good challenge for anybody. We were talking about our interpersonal dynamics and whether we listen. Everyone can listen better.
Yes.
This whole country needs to listen better. But just in your one-on-one interactions, your daily life, I mean, it's such a good quality to listen to people and actually hear them. So I think everyone should do this.
Yeah, and here's some suggestions. Here's what I want you to implement into your life as you go through the next week. One, when your significant other or anybody is in the room that you're in the room with, turn off your phone or put your phone away. Do not have it around when they're around.
Wow, the gall of this guy to say that to us.
I know. Shoot the messenger on this one. Are you
If
kidding
you're-
me?
If you're working or watching television and someone comes in to talk to you, pause whatever you're doing or turn away from it. This sounds revolutionary, but none of us do that. We all just try to absorb what we can while continuing to do what we
I'm
want.
just picturing me in my living room, like hunched forward towards the television, and someone's standing to my side trying to talk to me, and I will not turn. I'm warmed by the fire glow of the TV.
Well, and we know how you get during adult field hockey playoff season. You've got ESPN 6, and this is a big time of year for you.
But I can see that as
leave
being
their
a part.
hearts
I
on
know
the
that
field.
sometimes I'll be writing and I'll be on a roll and and somebody will come in to talk to me. And I'm like, it does take like a physical exertion
Turn.
to pull myself away because I'm like, I don't want to lose this moment. Like I've got this idea that I'm trying to get down real fast. And so it's like, I think that there is
and that's the thing with you, Andrew. I don't want to mess that up because good ideas are at such a paucity
Okay,
for you.
fuck
They're so
you.
rare. So I think when you latch onto something, you should definitely hold on to those. Adam, he is he's
I
a
was just going to
geyser.
say, in Andrew's defense, hey, no one's going to read that conversation when you're dead, but we might go through what you wrote down.
Okay.
So I ask you what's
assholes.
more important.
Thanks for taking this seriously. Number 3, react in the moment. As you're looking at them, make eye contact every time somebody is speaking and react. Pay attention to what they're saying and react to what they're saying. If they're expressing concerns to you, repeat their concerns back to them once they're done. So what you're saying is...
It sounds
And
like
this-
Adam and I are androids about to leave the factory, and you're giving us our final fucking tips.
Yeah, this is Westworld prequel.
be great.
When they cut your head off, say thank you.
be empathetic, be encouraging for the person to speak up,
Or
whoever
we're
it is,
Toyotathon salespeople.
and say,
Okay, keep going. I'm sorry.
you guys are already not listening to me.
Is there an acronym? This is a lot.
I know. Well,
Yeah,
that's
like
why
SQRRR. Come on.
I'm going to send these to you so you both have them. And we'll also post the link to this New York Times article so that people are fans. It'll be on the episode show notes so that people who are listening can see this for themselves and try to implement it as well. And so that's what we're going to have you two do over the next.
So Andrew and I have to take these helpful tips from the New York Times and be better listeners. Ben has to not talk for a week.
Yeah, I like
Yes.
this. Yes.
This is amazing.
More challenges
Okay.
like this. All right,
So-
Ben, is there any last thing you'd like to say out loud
Any
to the world for a
parting
week?
words?
Yes. I've never been a fan of your stand-up comedy, Adam, and I want you to know this. Something about it just rubs me the wrong way.
Well,
And I, well, no, you have to listen to me now because I'm shutting down for a week. And
that's
Andrew,
the last thing you
Man, I
do.
wish there was like a plug we could pull on this thing.
Andrew. To everybody listening, Andrew is not actually deaf. He revealed that to me while we were on set. He told me that it's something he's been using just simply
That
to
would be
hide
amazing.
his social anxiety.
I wish I wish I was that smart.
Also, that barn in his backyard is a puppy mill. He's been breeding
Oh
dogs.
my God.
Yes.
Really?
Yeah.
I gotta make money in Corkor, baby.
So
No,
wait, Ben, you can like text people.
Yeah, he can
and-
text and
I
he can
can
write
write
handwritten
things-
notes.
You can exist online and
and
I
communicate.
think we've really created a monster with this challenge.
can you because Ben is a prolific Instagram story guy. No words in
No
those.
words.
no, I
no.
can't talk.
No
I can't use my
noises
voice
from
for the
his
next
mouth.
week.
No
Boy,
grunts,
your
no whistles,
your faces
no chirps.
and your space work is really going to improve.
Yeah.
in these Instagram stories.
Watch out for
All right.
It's going to be the first Instagram mime who really takes off.
Guys, my numbers went way up since I stopped talking. Anyway,
Okay, let's
all right.
count Ben
I'm
down
impressed.
to silence. 3,
All
I'm
right.
impressed by you, Ben.
2,
I'm impressed by your commitment.
1. Silent Ben. Oh, this is so good.
So,
Adam.
I
Oh,
think
let me
Ben-
just no.
not-
Let me just luxuriate in this for a moment. Let me just sink into this bubble bath of quiet.
Hey, Andrew, how are you?
You know what? I'm all right. Ben's on
man.
his phone immediately. Ben is still here. He's still on the podcast. He's immediately went on his phone.
I'm excited to have a sort of honest conversation with someone for a change
For
and not have
once,
to just
yeah.
butt in with insecure riffs. No,
Totally. That
thanks.
nervous chattering, like
Gone.
yeah.
This
Ah.
is calming.
Mm.
Ron, if you could put in some soothing ocean sounds and perhaps a whale call or two, because that's what's going on with me and Andrew right now. Just chill.
Hey, why don't we do this? Why don't we listen to some stand-up comedy?
Hey, Andrew, that's a great idea.
Let's
love
take a
that. I
break.
love stand-up.
Let's listen to some stand-up comedy from a comedian that we both love. Just got our first text from Ben. I fucking hate you guys.
Hey, I'll tell you what. Unlike that asshole Ben Roy, this next comic I can't get enough of.
He's great. He came up in Denver. We got to see him from day one. So good. Now he's out in
He's
LA
been
crushing
better
it.
than Ben for 7 years at
Oh,
stand-up.
from day one. He's a treat. Everyone. We're getting a lot of messages from Ben, and they're all caps.
They're pouring in. They're pretty angry.
Might have to block Ben for this week and help his listening even more. This is a great comic. You're going to love him, and we'll be back after the break. This is Troy Walker.
It's fucking insane. I do live in LA now, so I started going to therapy. 'Cause that's the thing you have to do when you move to Los Angeles. People start telling you, and they're like, you should try therapy. You should try therapy. You should try therapy. Which is always a fun thing to hear in a conversation that wasn't about that. They'd be like, you should try therapy. And I'm always like, I don't know, man. Sounds kind of expensive. I don't really know if that's in my budget. And they would always be like, nah, man, there's actually tons of really cheap places that you can go for therapy. And I would just be like, I don't know if I want cheap mental health. Shit sounds kind of terrible. Like you're like sitting there and the guy's like, so we've really made some progress today. We really narrowed down your issues to how that panda biting you at the zoo is currently affecting your relationships. You're like, I can't eat Oreos. He's like, I know, we're gonna fix it. I do think this is a good place to just stop and let you process things for a week and we'll just pick it back up. You got about 5 minutes left though. You want me to jerk you off in cheap therapy? So I go and I check it out. And I'd never been before, so I didn't know they asked you all these questions when you start. And one of the questions they asked you, they go, do you want a male or a female therapist? And I was like, female, 100%. Because I would like to get something done. I would like to accomplish something. And I don't care how many degrees that dude has. 2 dudes sitting in a room trying to talk about it. We would get nothing done. I like walk in, sit down, a guy would be like, so what's wrong, man? I'm like, nothing, man. What the fuck's wrong with you, dog? What's your problem? So I got a female therapist. What I didn't count on, though, was that I'd end up having a crush on my therapist. Women, you're right. It's very sexy to be listened to. Well, I have this crush on my therapist, and I just lie to her and don't tell her when things bother me because I don't want her to think I'm a bitch. Toxic masculinity. It's a vicious, vicious cycle.
Get out of the trenches of tedious tasks like managing order fulfillment and start growing your business with ShipStation. They'll help increase profitability by automating your workflow with their simple, easy-to-use dashboard. With it, you can pretty much do everything you need to quickly and easily. Update order information, print labels, compare rates, optimize shipments, and even set up automatic delivery notifications. And it doesn't matter where you sell. Amazon, Etsy, eBay, Shopify, ShipStation can integrate pretty much anywhere online. Another great thing about ShipStation? They can help reduce costs with industry-leading discounted rates from some of the biggest mail carriers. You might even be able to get up to 89% off USPS and UPS rates. So, make this year your most profitable one yet. Sign up for your free 30-day trial at ShipStation.com and use the code Spotify. That's ShipStation.com with the code Spotify.
And we are back.
Andrew, how you doing, bud?
I'm doing all right. It's just so nice and quiet in here. It's like a dentist's waiting room.
But none of the stress. None of the stress at all.
It says Ben, we have not released Ben from his vow of silence yet. Ben is here. Wave Ben, and we'll let the listeners know that you're waving. He's snapping.
Faintly snapping.
Yeah. Oh, he's into jazz now. He spent his week with the vow of silence getting into some jazz.
Or maybe he's at a poetry reading. We're not sure.
Yeah, who knows? Or he was trying Morse code and he was just saying like one letter over and over again.
E.
He's screaming. He was Morse code screaming because his mind is melted down from being silent.
It is almost exactly a week to the day that Ben started this silent challenge and that Andrew and I subsequently tried to be better listeners. Ben has not spoken.
Release him. Yeah.
I think we should let Ben talk. So let's count it down. Andrew, 5.
Give us a drum roll,
4.
Ron.
Oh yeah, Ron, can you give us an Outcast marching band drum roll?
All right. Oh,
5,
5,
4, 3, 2, 1.
I fucking hate you both. I've hated you both since day one. That whole shit you did at the beginning of like all the insulting and how quiet it is. Get ready to never fucking talk. No, I'm just kidding.
Man, the environment in this dentist waiting room just got pretty shitty. I'm going to wait outside, actually.
Quiet body, not necessarily a quiet mind.
Yeah.
A Quiet Mind was my Russell Crowe movie.
Your knockoff, your straight to video.
Yeah, my straight to video knockoff about the guy who invented the Venetian blind.
About the guy who invented Russell Crowe movies.
Yeah.
You mean Russell Crowe?
Well, thank you for ushering me out of that.
Welcome back, buddy. How are you?
I'm good. We can talk about the results.
Yeah, let's
but
say
I
Ben
know...
for last because I think they'll be more exciting than me and Adams.
I don't know. I think the guy's been silent for a week. I want to hear what he's got to say, Andrew. I'm ready to listen.
I'm curious though. I guess since it's put on me, I'm curious how you both did. I think at the beginning of the challenge, I said about some rules from that article that I had read of being better active listeners, engaging more. First off, were you both able to implement those things into your lives?
Yes.
Andrew?
Yes, I can go first. Yes. I definitely perform better listening when I would put my phone down, I was very conscious to like, oh, set your phone down and pay attention. The other thing I quickly realized is that I just like when I'm listening to someone, I just like having something to do in general, whatever it is. And a big one for me is petting a dog. You know, there's so many dogs around in here. And so if someone's talking to me, I'll just like, while they're talking to me, I'll just go and like pet a dog and like give a dog scratch. And it doesn't necessarily mean I'm not listening, but it certainly makes me a less active listener. So I tried to
you're
curb,
engaging with another living being in the moment.
So I tried to curb that as well.
And you've got all
Which is
those
helpful.
reservation dogs that kind of just drift in and out. You know,
Yeah, just leave the door open.
eight-nippled res dogs that you love to.
Oh no!
Don't all dogs have 8 nipples?
Yeah, but these
I don't
are
know. I don't
big,
count. Oh.
big nipples.
But
yeah,
the other
you're
thing
also
is I was very conscious on telling people when I couldn't hear them instead of just like if I didn't catch what they said, instead of like the second time being like, oh yeah, sure, or whatever, I would just keep letting them know that I didn't hear them. So it's like the third time, the fourth time. But
Let me
at
let
least
me ask you a question. And
at least
I'm
I
sorry
know
to
I
interrupt.
heard what they said. Yeah, shoot.
Is that something you would do in the past because where you wouldn't tell them you couldn't hear them because you were embarrassed to admit that you couldn't hear them because you're, or it was more just like whatever, I didn't need to hear them that much.
It's more like I'll say it once, and this is like I'm famous for being like, "What's that?" Like our mutual friend Josh Blue, he's like he every time he sees me, he's like, "What's that? What's that?" He makes this little like parrot noise.
Nice of Josh Blue to make fun of your disability.
Yeah.
Oh,
I mean,
shit.
you know, the guy he's got to have some in the tank. He's got to turn it around. So, but he'll always tease me with that. So I'll say it, you know, once like, "Oh, what's that?" And then if I can't hear it the second time, you know, if I could just shrug it off or nod it off, then I would. But in an effort to be a better listener, I'd be like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you." And then I'd have to be like, "Okay, one more time. Let me come over to where you are." Because if there's any like cross noise, anything else messing with it, it can be hard to hear. So, but yeah, so I did those 3 things were the 3 things that stuck out the most.
A question, and I don't know that I know the answer to this. And if you don't want to answer, you don't have to. How did you lose your hearing? Were you born without?
No, it just happened when I was like in my early 20s. It's like just like nerve damage. It was just kind of spooky. It just happened kind of out of the blue. I'd had an ear infection shortly before that, and it could have been from that ear infection. But I picked up the phone, and the phone was ringing, and I picked it up, and I was like, "Hello," and I didn't hear anybody. I put it down, picked up the phone again. Hello, hung it up. Phone rings a third time. Didn't pick it up because I was like, whoever this stupid prank is, I'm not answering it. And then my mom picked up the phone. I was at my mom's house, and my mom picked up the phone, and she's like, it's your friend. It's for you. And I was like, and so I answered again. And I was like, hello. I was like, there's nobody here. And then I happened to switch it to my other ear, and I could hear my friend. So it just happened like that overnight.
Wow.
And that's how I found out.
That's terrifying.
Yeah. It's crazy.
You
Go
just
ahead,
went
Ben.
to sleep one night and you could hear out of that ear, and then the next morning
Yeah.
it was just gone.
Yeah.
Wow,
crazy.
that's crazy.
There's
I
a
don't know
great
that I-
great movie right now called Sound of Metal.
Oh yeah, I
don't know if
watched
you
that.
get
It was very
It was so good.
very I guess for lack of a better word, triggering, I guess, of like, oh, this is good. It stressed me out a lot.
Yeah, I can imagine having gone through something like that. Yeah, it was a sad movie, but man, oh man, it was fucking the best movie I've seen this year for sure.
Can I also ask another question? But please, was it something that you like bummed you out at that point? Has it changed how you perceive like music and things like that, or is it more when there's a lot of ambient noise in the room and like? But like,
No,
going
I can
to a
still hear.
concert-
It's not totally deaf. It's what what they call a cookie bite hearing loss. Like the mid range is gone. When you see it on the hearing test, it looks like a pretty radical skateboarding half pipe. But the human voice is what falls into that middle range. So if there's music on, or even if I'm listening to headphones, I could still hear the music in a way. It doesn't sound like the music's only coming in one ear. It sounds.
Cookie bite, an adorable
I know, right?
description of a terrifying disease.
I used to have a bit about it. Yeah, I was like, delicious. But the worst thing is, it's conversations. If somebody's sitting on that side of me, if there's any other sound competing in the area, that it just makes it really hard to hear.
I have a problem with my prostate, and it's called the snickerdoodle.
A snickerdoodle dandy? Yeah, I've heard about
And
that.
It's that the urine doesn't come out in the mid ranges. It more comes out on the side.
Yeah, I've got what they call jelly bean cancer.
Uh-oh.
Mainly that it's
Turns
an
out that little
assorted-
jelly bean in your brain is pretty important.
Yeah.
Jesus. Well, what about you, Adam? Were you able to implement this stuff into your life?
Yeah, I mean, I read the article that you sent us, and we'll share that with the folks online. But I didn't implement a ton of those. You know, it's like nodding and eye contact. I certainly put the phone away. And there was one thing which, believe it or not, I actually kind of took from that article, which it described. It said, go into every interaction like it's improvisational comedy. And improv jokes aside, this is where the stand-ups shit on improv. Okay, we got those done.
I'm just picturing your wife booing you out of the room.
Right.
This
So
show
I went-
sucks.
I got a lot of T-shirts with puns on them. But that just was like spoke to me. I was like, okay, yeah, check anything that you have in your brain out the window when you go into an interaction.
Yeah, that's
and
really smart.
and just react from whatever those people will give you. And so that just kind of like fed on itself. And you know, mostly we're in quarantine, so I'm hanging with Katie and being a better listener by putting the phone away and really turning and facing her and listening. And she even noticed that. But I had several social interactions. It was my mom's 70th, and we had backyard birthday cake and visited with some other friends in a park. And going into those, I was just like checking myself. I was like, all right, don't be eager to share your stories. Like listen and react from these people. And it was like great. I don't know. No one was like, wow, Adam, you're really listening better. But I don't know. I feel like the ego gets in the way a lot of, especially funny people like us. We want to show that we're funny and get in with the quips. But it's like, it's so easy to just be like, I'll get my talking points in. I'm going to let everyone else lead. And so I just did that all week long. And I think it was great. I loved it.
Nice.
That's actually
I didn't want to interrupt you, but backyard birthday cake sounds like a euphemism for eating butt. Just so you know.
Well, that was the
But see,
point
I
of
was
what
being
I
a
was
good
trying to
listener.
say.
I was going to say it right then, but I was like, I can wait.
I mean-
I can wait.
Andrew is the exact example of what I'm preaching. He could have interrupted with that, but he told us later after my
Yeah.
story, and it's still just as funny.
Why is that so funny?
Backyard birthday cake, a little bit of the old backyard birthday cake. And let me tell you something, I blew out every candle.
Oh my god, that's one of the funniest. Oh, shit.
Well,
All right.
there's no more eating butt. There is only backyard birthday cake,
Now,
everyone.
let me ask you, Andrew, did you come in with that backyard birthday cake eating?
No,
butt
I was
thing
treating
loaded
our
up, or did-
conversation like an improvisational comedy show.
So that was strictly a yes and. Oh
But
my god!
I paid
But no,
$350 to be here right now. I want these jokes to hit.
That's Second City level 5 right there.
Oh shit, that's so funny.
That's so great. But go ahead, Ben. What were you going to say?
No, but I mean, that's really I like that way of looking at a conversation. I
Yeah.
think that's a really kind and because we have a lot of the same conversations with the same people over and over again, or at least you expect they're going to be. So you go in with a preconceived notion of how that conversation is going to go. And you may alter it back to that simply as like you self-prophesize that, oh, we're going to talk about this again. And so you kind of steer it in that direction, maybe subconsciously or whatnot. I really think that that's a super interesting insight into that.
Well, and we're having limited interactions because of the pandemic. So maybe I'm able to give more thought because I'm like driving to go meet with people. And that's a novel thing these days for me. So maybe if I was seeing people all the time, I wouldn't be as conscious about it, but I was really conscious about it. And I think this challenge more than any I'm going to take with me that we've done. Because I think I talked to another friend, my brother-in-law, and because we went and visited him, and I've thought of him as a very good listener. I just kind of hit upon him as he's always, and I asked him, I was like, is that something conscious that you do? Like, and I thought he would just say, nope, that's just how I am. But he's like, absolutely. And he's like, and he said the reason he did is because back in the day, he was listening to someone and they were just one-upping him, just one-upping. And in conversation, he called them one-uppers. And he's like, I never want to do that. And he's just like, so he, when somebody talks to him, he always asks a question before he even responds. Like if Ben was to be like, I had a spell show last night, I'd be like, fuck yeah. And I'd just be like, oh, where was it? And then Ben would tell me, and then I would say something off of Ben's
You're talking about
point.
your show that was better that you did.
Right. And then I would be like, I made $1,000.
No, I know your brother-in-law. He is a great listener. And that jumped out at me too.
And
And I've only
afterwards-
had like 5 interactions with him.
I met a lady who had some backyard birthday cake on me.
So
Which
Ben,
is the point. It was just why we perform.
yeah. So Ben,
So anyway,
how was
I loved it. I'm going to keep implementing it. This
I
is
think
one of my
that's
favorite
great.
challenges. But Ben, how was your fucking penitent week of utter silence while Andrew and I just had to listen better?
I will say this first right off the bat. This is the most interesting challenge to me that, like, as far as one that I've undertaken, but being the most difficult for myself for obvious reasons everybody is very well aware of with me. And two, like observing how people act towards you. Also, it was incredibly difficult. That's the first insight that I've had. In a transactional society like we have, one where you do have to interact with people for things as small as going into a convenience store to just buy a simple item, and we're wearing masks right now, without speaking, it comes off as incredibly rude.
Oh, sure.
And so there were those parts of this. There were also the ways in which people reacted to it, even full well knowing that I'm only doing this as a challenge for this podcast. I found people became, well, let me say this. I was not able to do it the entire week. I've discovered.
Oh my God,
Wait a
Ben!
minute.
How
You
could you?
Well,
It's
go get
so-
the penitent
the weapons
whip.
batch.
Oh no,
but
it's now a cat of 9 tails. Then you'll be hitting yourself with it 20 times.
Mhm, mhm. Or
Um,
Patreon.
It's not a level of disregard for other people that I'm willing to go to for this podcast. I mean, it's not saying I could not bring myself to in a convenience store with a mask on, not say thank you.
Yeah.
When they were like, okay, thank you, and not say, or they were like, have a great day, to not be like, you as well. You know, it feels
What about a nice thumbs up?
that feels
That's
like
true.
shitty too. Like it
That is a little condescending.
yeah. So there were things like that. I'm also, as you both know, without disclosing too much about my private life, I am currently in a new living situation. I have a new roommate. I'm living with a person that I just met. I had just moved in when we started this challenge. So becoming a psychopath and going totally silent when I run into that person was also not a level of disregard for their, no matter how she's the roommate that I have is very, like, I explained what was going on, that I would be quiet for part of it. And she's aware of the podcast. She was great about it. It still felt incredibly rude.
I think, yeah, silence is like a universal language for I'm upset or pissed. Like that
Right.
is what people read into silence. It's never like this person is like happy and being calm. It's like this person, something is going on with this person. That's
Yeah.
why
Which
they're
is
quiet.
weird. It's weird that that's the way it is, because I mean, I have respect now for people that are like silent and just thoughtful. And
I think that comes across with people you don't know. What I did find with
Right,
people
right.
I did know well and who are aware of this, was that immediately at first they set about saying all kinds of terrible, sarcastic things to me, a la what you guys did. And nearly every person, they're like, oh, you can't talk? Oh, you're a piece of shit. And like trying to, will you do this? Not say yes if you're not cool with this. Like it immediately started off as jokes.
Did you storm the Capitol? Did you storm the Capitol?
Yeah.
Silence is a guilt in this situation.
I called you from Eliza's phone because it's an LA area code to see if you'd pick up. Like, showbiz calling. You didn't pick up.
I didn't
pass
pick
that
up.
test.
That's
And
great.
I remember that call, and I was like, am I missing something?
I was like, I should call him 3 times in a row. You know, like something big.
Yeah.
This is an important call, but
I love that you did that.
I left him alone.
But what I did find was that once that went away, I thought people would talk more. They talked far less. It got more uncomfortable. I thought people would fill the space with their own chatter, but they
just talking to themselves around you,
or just talking to me, like saying like wanting like somebody to listen that didn't have to respond or couldn't respond. I also found that people, even knowing that who I am and that this is purely a challenge for a podcast, were much kinder. When I didn't speak and I just nodded yes and whatnot, people were so much more patient. They were much kinder in their tone. They would were much quicker to make contact, pat me on the back or something like that, and be like, so
you're going to keep this going, is what you're saying.
No. I don't like that side of human beings. I think it shows weakness.
Did anybody confess a deep, dark secret to you that they've been waiting to get off their chest for decades?
Ron, do you want to talk about what you confessed? Because Ron confessed to. We'll talk about it later. No. I also found that people had a tendency, knowing full well that I can hear and that I'm capable of speaking, nearly every person talked louder to me and insisted on demonstrating what it was they wanted me to do. Like Crystal at one point, my ex, she would be like, "Hey, will you do this?" And she would hold it and then also gesture for say it was writing a check, how to write a check. Can you write a check? And you just have to tell me to write a check.
Tell me to write a check. Yeah.
Yeah. My personal trainer at the gym, she just talked as if I was deaf nearly the entire time. You need to go over there and it was I can hear her, and then she'd start laughing at herself. There were so many moments that I can't imagine that if somebody has some sort of condition where they don't speak or they're deaf, the amount of times that people treat you as if you are mentally inferior, it was an enlightening enough experience to at least change how I behave towards people who may be hearing impaired or may have some sort of speech issue where they don't speak or they have trouble with speech, but they're clearly cognitively their abilities are totally normal. I mean, there's no.
That's why we did this challenge, because Andrew and I were pretty appalled at the way you've been mocking the deaf for years now.
It's not cool.
You guys.
It's not cool at all. And we reverse engineered this challenge to get you to this place of understanding.
This has been one of the most heartwarming episodes of this show. Once we show the viewers the supercut of Ben mocking deaf people.
Right.
And
then
mock,
their new Ben.
I only mock Cookie Monster below us. I don't mock.
We're kidding. We're kidding.
No. The other parts were just the silence. It was very lonely. I was shocked at how much I talked to myself, but I stopped myself from doing that. And I talk to myself regularly, and I realize I do it fairly frequently, and it felt lonely. That was the part I was not prepared for.
I was worried about you, and I texted, "How's it going?" and you didn't respond, and I was like, "Okay, well, there it is." But I was just picturing you retreating into silence, and in my head, I just heard, Hello, darkness, my
I was gonna say.
friend. Like every time, as Ben just like sequesters for a week.
Come to stare at you again. No, it was the silent. If what it immediately did was it made me feel separate when people would be having conversations and I sat silently for them. I would say throughout the entire thing, I spent 3 days or so fully silent, like 3 or 4 days, maybe.
That's a fucking ton. That's a lot of silence.
Yeah. The rest of it, it was just. But what I did take from it and what I will take from it is to spend time in silence, because there was really interesting moments of like the things that I heard, like leaving and going out and not whistling or singing in the car to myself or something. I've not listened. I sing a lot to music. I've not actually listened to a song, like things like that, like hearing the environment around you. It's a challenge I really want to do, and I think we should come back to. I think sometime the three of us should do either overnight or for a couple days go up like to the mountains and on a retreat of some sort, and we don't speak, but we're around each other the entire time. Because I do think that there's a lot of...
That sounds like a recipe for backyard birthday cake.
I was gonna say it sounds like a recipe for some jackass caliber hijinks.
But I could talk about this challenge for an hour. I highly recommend anybody spend a day or two.
It'd be fun to do a silent retreat. I would do that, Ben.
Yeah.
I would do
and
that
I
for sure.
want to attempt this again. I will attempt this again outside of normal society, where I can actually spend the time, because I do think there's a lot of insight to be gained about yourself and about how lonely you get. Like, why do I feel lonely? Why do I feel the need? That was the part I kept. Why I'm still around everybody. They're acknowledging me, but for some reason, because I can't talk and contribute to the conversation and things, I feel as if I'm inferior or not part of the group. And it felt very primal and different.
Yeah, man. I mean, we do these challenges. They're amateur. It's us at our homes doing them within our means. But if we ever get a bigger budget or whatever, it'd be people do these retreats often to sort of seek deeper answers to things. I think it'd be very interesting to do.
Yeah,
Definitely.
A really interesting challenge. And I think stuff with communication and with active listening are things that we should come back to and continue to utilize. I know I will. Even just what you said, what you learned, Adam, I feel very confident that I will try to go into conversations like that now. That's like one of those things that kind of changes how you view a conversation.
I'm just gonna start. I'm just gonna start all my conversations around with give me a suggestion.
Eating butt.
Zip zap zap. Zip zap zap. Zip zap zap. Yeah, I think that it was super helpful to recognize some of those trouble behaviors for listening, like distracting yourself, looking at your phone, trying to listen to someone in front of a TV, et cetera, et cetera. Just being aware of those helps you recognize those blind spots so you can avoid them when you do want to listen to someone.
And I think a very common thing is are you listening or are you waiting for your turn to talk? And I think more than ever this week, I've thought, don't worry about when it's your turn to talk. Just listen, and like you will get plenty of turns to talk. So I honestly think that's something I'm going to try to take with me forever. It's just, it makes you, who doesn't like a person who's a good listener? Like you get annoyed with people that fucking talk too much at you, but you like people that listen to you a lot. So it's like, be one of those people. It seems like a better way to be.
Yeah, and for sure. And I would say to people, just because you feel as if you can't contribute something to the conversation, you still have value. And that was the thing that I struggled really hard with this was like, am I like, what's my value to these people anymore? Like the people still, it really there were times that really attacked my self-confidence. And so I think that's important to look at. Anytime you feel that way, I think it definitely touched a nerve within myself, and especially where I'm at in my life right now.
Yeah, dude.
So this was a very enlightening challenge. I'm glad we did this, and it's one I'd like to explore again. I rarely say that with us, but yeah. Yeah,
I
for
think
sure.
I don't think any of us, except with the exception of Ben, which was a really hard task. I didn't expect this to be such a profound episode. So I'm very glad that we also have backyard birthday cake to walk away with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
This is a
so
time
heavy.
capsule Grawlix episode.
I
You
knew
have the
we would get a
profound
true
truths.
Jim. Yeah.
You have the profound truths and a really good
I'm
ass
just
eating
glad
analogy.
we could come back to ass eating, and that's what I love about you both is that we can be talking about some deep stuff and really go in. And I know we have such a short time, but we can always bring it back to eating butt, and that's what I can count on with you guys. And I love you for
Hey,
that.
I believe I speak for all of us when I say happy birthday to you guys.
Blow out my candles, Adam.
Oh, that was a
I
fun
think
one.
it's time. I think it's time to listen to some live stand-up comedy again. And this clip, I love this next comic. Always so much fun when she comes by. And I know you're going to enjoy her, especially if you see the Grawlix live show. You'll remember. Please enjoy Emily Maya Mills. And when we come back, we'll tell you what the next episode's challenge is. Stay tuned.
So I'm 35 and my face is melting, but it's fine. It's fine. The candles may be melting, but the birthday cake is still intact, okay? Which is fine. I mean, it's better than the alternative. You know, you could have perfect candles and a birthday cake that's just been chewed up by children and smashed up. And just kind of melting out of the bottom or whatever. And nobody wants. I mean, it's fine. You know, that's fine too. That's better than the alternative there, which is you could have one of those birthday cakes just wrapped up in fucking duct tape and refrosted with some trick candles on top and a bunch of fake eyelashes. You take a bite and there's like fucking hair extension in your mouth, which is still better yet than the alternative there, which would be like the candles are still perfect and the birthday cake is perfect, and then it's like, fuck you. Nobody wants to hang out with you anyway, you fucking skinny ass birthday cake. Go eat some cake, you goddamn bony. Nobody wants to eat a bony cake. Go build a personality. We're all headed for the same place anyway. We're just gonna be an 80-year-old cake with a silk kimono wrapped around the outside. Just hanging out on our roof, like, open it up for the pigeons. Hey, boys. Come on, have the last little crumbs of the birthday cake, and then it's over. Just sing yourself a little song like, when the lights go down on my birthday cake.
All right, and we are back. What a banger of an episode. And I tell you what, it feels good to be talking at high speeds again and not really
you look
breathing,
great.
Feels
not
good to
listening.
just
What'd you just say?
getting
I'm sorry.
buffeted
I'm
by
so
it.
sorry.
No, I'm sorry. I was talking over you. No, keep going.
Yeah, no,
No,
no.
it was my
appreciate it.
mistake.
I was just
no,
yeah,
sorry.
no, that was my bad.
No, that's fine. Yeah. Okay.
So what's happening in your worlds coming up, dudes?
Andrew, get-
I the way you said that sounded it sounded like
Yeah,
I like it.
no,
It's
I got you.
a commercial cue. I have some news finally in my life. I've been working on designing some games and putting them out. And this month is Zine Fest on Kickstarter, where people release games in a kind of a simple zine format. And I'm going to be launching my first game ever this Friday. It's going to go up on Kickstarter. Yep. We're going to be playing it this Friday night with Jared Logan and the awesome Claire Grant and Harlan Kelly. If you want to see the game in action, it's a game where the players take on the roles of stray dogs and cats in the city and go on adventures. It's very fun. It's very easy to play. I designed it for my daughter's middle school role-playing game club because it was just a nightmare to run the crazy complicated games. So I made this game, and it's been a real hit in that club. And now I'm kickstarting it out into the world so I can print it up
You're a fucking genius,
that
Andrew.
starts
That
on
is
Friday.
so cool. Go support Andrew. Go to Kickstarter. Donate. This is awesome.
The game's called
That
Streets.
rules.
You can just search for it on Kickstarter. Streets.
Cool, man. And I have a show coming up at Comedy Works March 11th, kicking the dust off the building. It's the first show back, and it's almost sold out. So if you have any interest, get your tickets now. But in other great news, tomorrow we have our live Grawlix show with Shane Torres and Eliza Skinner. And there's some tickets left at number 38, mmbr38.com. Go get those tickets. We're going to have a ball tomorrow. Bundle up.
Yeah, we're going to huddle together for warmth. 6 feet apart, but huddling.
6 feet apart huddle.
We do have a Patreon if you want to check that out. Patreon.com/Grawlix Saves. We love to put bonus content up there. For example, we have some video of Ben during his vow of silence. If you would like to watch a silent video of Ben, it's gonna be up there.
Not
Penitente lashing his own back with his
it's just
belt.
him like with the doing some self-flagellation.
It is you both telling me that I'm now quiet and then just assailing me. It's not, and I want you to know I don't approve of this being
Patreon.com. Check it out. It's fun stuff.
And also, part of our Patreon that we love to do, we love to give a shout out. We want to give a birthday shout out to a Patreon subscriber and supporter.
We've got one.
Yeah, February 4th. Old Ryan Turch turned 13 years young.
Wow.
And
I forgot to get him
Your
something.
parents want you to stop listening to the podcast. They have written to us multiple times. It's for adults and not kids.
Ryan, you listen. You need cigarettes. You need alcohol. You come to your Grawlix buddies. We got you, little dude.
Oh, Uncle Ben, Andrew, and Adam will take care of you, and then you can jump off the shed anytime you want. But happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Ryan. You can listen and subscribe for anywhere you get your podcasts. Be sure to rate and review us. It means so much to us, and it props up our fragile senses of confidence. And you can keep an eye on Twitter and Instagram at Grawlix Comedy for everything we're doing.
Yes.
We have something kind of fun coming down the pipe. I can't divulge too much, but
finally
there's going to be something new coming soon.
Yes, and as always, none of this podcast would be popular.
You said it right. That's right. It's not a popular podcast.
And then you put a period at the end. Yeah, none of this podcast would be popular.
This podcast is not popular. Move on.
I know you haven't spoken for a week, so it's hard to get back into it. It turns out it's not like riding a bike. So go ahead and take it again.
Let me just step back and get a better running start at this one. Of course, this podcast would not be possible without Back Alley Ear, Nose, and Throat Doc out there doing good street laryngoscopies and bootleg hearing tests. Ron Doyle, we love you. It's not possible without his work. And our theme music is always, this is just brought to you by the mellifluous Charlie Continental. What do you think of that word, Adam? Mellifluous.
I'm
impressed that
we got to
you
take
tripped
you off
your way
the back
through
half.
the sentence.
Yeah.
Mellifluous. It gets my lisp going. It does. It's a hard one. And so now that all the bills and the paperwork is done, what are we going to do for the next challenge? What's next episode's challenge?
Well, I've been thinking, Ben, you had to take a whole week of silence. It was pretty hard on you. So we wanted to reward you for your excellent behavior with a little more social media. We know it keeps
What?
you up.
We're gonna do
we
a
know
social
what
media
motivates you. We're doing a social media challenge wherein we actually try to do more of it. And we're bringing in Steph Telev, who is a dear friend and hilarious. So stay tuned for that one. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Quickly, because I'm going to start crying out of gratitude. I got to say this. Play us out, Charlie. God, I love you guys.